Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I am Will, and I'm joined by my co-host over here, the Grease. Say hello, Grease.
Hey, babies. Hey, I listened to the podcast version for the first time.
What do you,
in a long time?
The show for the very first time ever. I feel
well,
like,
no, it was in a long since we've been here live together. I haven't listened to the podcast version.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I haven't watched these back either.
Yeah,
but I
most
listened.
people would understand.
I just popped in, just was like, you know what? I was wondering what this sounds like.
Which one did you listen to?
Because I was headed south, and I was I was in the car the other day for like 5 hours.
Which one did you listen to?
The most, no, not the one where you had the IV treatment.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
I know what I'm doing.
But I mean, I feel like, some people just pull the audio from their YouTube and it doesn't sound great.
No, we don't do that.
Right. Yeah. You're a specimen.
I'm gonna move. I almost said something.
I
I stopped myself. Grease, we have something to talk about because some people here were watching it live, and then we posted our drinking with our new friend Chris Fletcher, master distiller of Jack Daniels. And if you haven't seen it, you can watch it on our YouTube channel. I highly recommend watching it. It's a lot of fun. If you listen to the podcast feed, the audio is up there as well, so you can get it there. But it was a great time. He was a super great guy. But I need to go into some of my stress level before that happened, before that show. Yeah, because
there's a story.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, Chris Fletcher, he's the master distiller of Jack Daniels. Now, Jack Daniels is like of the trademarks of the brands in the world, not just whiskey, but we're talking Apple, Nike.
Oh yeah, no, it's
like a top 5. Coke, like those.
It might be top.
For a long time, it was like top 5. Jack Daniels is like known as one of the highest, most recognizable trademarks. Harley Davidson is up there.
Yeah.
But a global brand.
Yeah.
And this guy's the principal of the distillery, right? Like, this is a big deal. And you worked from home that day, which was fine. And I'm like, at least I know Grease will be at his house when we need to go live. It was a little bit earlier in the day than we normally record. No big deal.
Well, I was watching the kids. My wife was getting trained on the Botox stuff.
Yeah, so that's good. That's good.
More things.
So we had a 4 p.m. interview time with this very important person. We had no time to prep, and you decide after lunch that you need to go to the DMV.
Well, no, it was 2:00.
Right. That's after. That's. I'm just being a little generous. With
No, it was 2:00. I needed to be here.
I mean, you needed to be here at 3:30 minimum.
3:45.
No, I mean, that's like when I was going to arrive, and I was hoping you would have everything set up.
Right.
But no, you decided you wanted to go to the DMV, and now there's a DMV in your defense. I mean, no one's ever had a short experience at the DMV, but there's a DMV near our houses that's 10 minutes from your house.
Right. It said 38-minute wait time.
Did you go there?
No, it just said it online.
38 minutes. Now
the other one was 11.
An 11-minute, but it's 30 minutes plus away.
Yeah, but I don't know if have you DMV'd in a while? Like the times aren't indicative of how quickly you'll get in there.
Right. But at 2:00, our thing starts at 4. You decide to add an hour commute.
Right.
In there and then go wait at the DMV to try to get your gold star license.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's 9-minute wait time.
Grease, why was it so
11?
Important? No, but you added, I don't know if you know how math works.
Yeah, it was an hour and 11 minutes total. I was like, I'm good.
The drive time was more than the wait time at the one close to your house.
That's fair.
Yeah, in fact,
but you just never know. Like when they say 11 minutes, because I waited for 30.
Yeah,
in the Murfreesboro one.
Yeah,
who's to say I wouldn't have waited for 2 hours at the Carruthers one?
But you would have been 10 minutes from your house,
right?
So you decide.
So I could have abandoned.
You decide to go there. Why was it so imperative?
Right. My wife asked me that too.
Yeah.
So I get home. I stressed you out. I pull in about 7 minutes till.
Yeah.
And Will is literally sitting on the street, just staring me down as I come in. I'm like, I'm in trouble. And my wife, I just added a ton of stress to her and all this stuff. And so somebody's daggone calling me. Oh my gosh.
That fella calls you
all the time.
Every
in
stream
FaceTimes
at this exact time.
FaceTimes.
It's like he hasn't gotten the memo yet.
He hasn't. I don't know if I've told him the memo.
All right, so you had to do this. You had to do this.
Yeah, I had to do it. And
Jeffrey Wack on YouTube says this feels like a setup for a 5th grade math word problem. It's like if you have a 10-minute wait 10 minutes from your house,
oh yeah,
or a 38-minute wait, that's exactly what it is. Our buddy Preston from Murfreesboro says, I would rather go to prison than the Murfreesboro DMV. Why would you do that? Continue why you had to do it this afternoon.
Well, so last week or that week, I sauntered upon a online slots and blackjack thing. And for new users, they were running a special of like, oh, if you deposit $10, you get the equivalent of $30. And I was like, yeah, sounds great. And then I was like, I need to make that a 50. So I added 20 more, right? So I'm in this thing $30. Well, fast forward, long story short. Fast forward.
So you had 30 of your own money in plus the 20 they gave you.
Yeah, so I had a total of 50.
$50 you're playing.
But I've only put in 30.
And you can only pull out after you've gotten over 100. You can only withdraw funds after you've made above 100, right?
Oh, really? Is that that was what it was?
Yeah, that was part of the promotion.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't have to know that.
You don't read the rules, but yeah,
I don't have to do that because I turned that $30 into $13,000, and they need my license to verify that I'm who I say I am, and I need to scan it, and they're just like, no. So now I have a new license coming. I got to wait 10 to 20 days because for some weird reason, if you're 16, okay, they print it for you right there and they hand it to you and you're like, you're on your way. But for some ungodly reason, it takes adults. Oh, you want an adult license?
Yeah.
You want like a legit license. That's going to take 10 to 20 business days. You just have to hang on for a second. So so I'm waiting. I've got $13,000.
Yeah, here's what's really unfortunate and frustrating about that story.
Right.
You were able to take 30 of your own dollars.
Yes.
On an online gambling thing. Clearly that is not rigged in your favor.
Oh, right.
Of all the things that are probably a scam.
Right.
That's high up on the list. Like the odds you can probably read the odds on there, and I'm certain it is not even close to being in your favor. You take 30 of your own dollars and over the course of a few days, turn it into 13 grand.
I got up as high as 16.
This is the same guy who decides instead of waiting 38 minutes at the DMV, 10 minutes away from his house, drives 30. And that's actually remarkably quick to get to that DMV.
Oh,
it's a solid 40-minute drive.
I was going 90 on 840.
Right. You decided to do what should have been an 80-minute round trip, plus your wait time at the DMV to try to squeeze that in before an interview with the master distiller of one of the biggest brands in the world.
I love that it says Grease on there. We need to take that off.
You do that, and you could just do that quietly and just make it happen.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyhow, so that's why.
So I called my buddy. right after this. I was like, dude, you want to hear the greasiest thing ever? And he's like, yes. I got a superlative in this like friend group thing that we have. Like it was a big friend group in high school or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we had our own like silly superlatives essentially.
Yeah.
And I won best time manager. So I literally called him up and like, dude, you're the only person on this planet that I know will appreciate this. I want, because I'm the best time manager, I got to tell you this. And that was pretty good time management.
Well, we also, I blame our friend Logan because we were in a text group and you were like sending screenshots of your balance as it kept going up. And we're like, okay, this is ridiculous, absurd. And then you were like, man, I can't withdraw it. They have to go get my license because my current license doesn't match my address. Like it was this whole thing. And then Logan was like, why don't you just go to the DMV and change it? And you said, well, I've heard it takes like half a day. And his response was classic. And it was like, when have you ever made $13,000
Right.
for a half a day's work?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I would go sit in the DMV
It was
for half a
perspective.
day for 13 grand. Now, he didn't understand that you were going to be like, I'm doing it right now when I have an interview in 2 hours. I'm going to try to squeeze in a casual DMV visit as you do.
Which I went from like, nope, you got to lock that thing down for half a day to I can squeeze this in an hour. Like, all I had was 2 hours.
It makes me think you've never been to a DMV. Like, somehow you pulled
it's
off
been
the
a-
hat trick, my friend.
It's been a while.
I don't know of anyone who's been able to go get something done at the DMV, especially with how backed up and slow they are with the pandemic and everything.
Right.
And you drove
Well, and you're missing
out of town.
You're missing a very big point. When
What?
I got there, the woman goes, systems down, statewide, don't know when it's going to be back up. And I was like, oh no. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait this out. And so I did.
Well, no, you also told me I have a hard out at 3:15, which I'm like, that puts you there still 5 minutes before the live if you're not driving 90.
Right.
And so I'm like, that doesn't seem to be a good. And then at 3:20, you're like, I'm almost done. I'm like, you're 5 minutes past the hard out.
Yeah.
You don't know what hard out means.
You don't know what a hard out means. You're right. He's not wrong. Yeah, no. So I was literally texting them the word leave and the text thing that would get you virtually out of line.
Yeah.
I was in the process and and they started calling a number. And so I stopped and it wasn't my number, but then they typically would run like 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah.
And I was like, pause. And sure enough, it was like Y10110 or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah.
So I go up to him. I was like, hey, how long is this going to take?
Yeah.
I've got a hard out.
Listen, I've got to go do a big interview. I got to get back to Franklin. And honestly, I need this so I can withdraw my gambling money.
Right.
From
I don't
overseas.
think you understand what I need.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what I need.
Thanks for the super chat on YouTube. The Mash Bill. It says, just dropped in to say, what's up, you sexy beast. I think you meant to put sexy.
Yeah, well, X and C are right by each other. So that makes fair.
Sense. Oh, and hello, Grease, Grouse, Gross. Hell, you know what your name is. Hashtag Team Will. Hashtag Team Not Grease. I love you, Mash Bill.
He's been Team Will from like day one.
Yeah, because I always go and watch his lives and hang out.
You've been on his show too, right?
No, when I say I was on the live, like I just mean I was in the chat, like watching. And you were... I explained that to you. You were really concerned that I got invited on something and you didn't, even though you do that all the time and don't.
That's not true.
Yeah, you were like,
I pushed you to get on some things.
All right. All that to be said, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you're not subscribed, give a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. We've got 79 people on here as we're recording this live. So go ahead. I want to see at least 79 thumbs ups. But I read an article, and this is what the title.
Yeah, we'll produce this one, so don't hold me.
So all these people put out lists and things. We put out lists and things.
This
is
top brandy. Like
I know
there's only one brandy that I put at the top.
So well, I mean, you like cognac. You like that cognac. That's a brandy.
Oh, that's true. I just bought another of the 50-year-old.
I'm going to continue with my thing.
I thought you would be excited about that.
I mean, I still have some of my first one, so
barely do.
Yeah. So what we've got here is a list put out by Vine Pair. It's a website. They do like wine and cocktails, and it's a alcohol website.
Is it PEAR or is it PARE?
PA.
You said Vine Pair.
It's pair, like a pair of things.
Right.
PAIR.
So it's just a pair of vines.
Yeah.
I thought they might have been like, yeah, man, we grow pears on vines over
You
here.
threw me off for a loop for a second. It's Vine Pair. VINEPAIR. Anyhow, it's just like
I would have focus grouped that name.
It's just like alcohol related articles and stuff. Like it's interesting. I like it. I read a lot of stuff on there.
Okay.
But they had a list, and I clicked it, and I want to go through this list and see what. And I think I left one off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I have to open up the list because the title was the 11 best single barrel bourbons, and then it had in parentheses 2021. So they are saying that this is the top 11 single barrel bourbons,
Okay.
but for 2021. So I'm going to go through them, and we're going to talk about them, and then we're going to talk about what isn't on this list, and then we're going to drink something on the 15 that's on this list.
Yeah.
That,
And this is
that we've never had before.
okay. Before everybody gets upset about this list, because I don't know what the list is, but this is from a wine magazine.
No, it's an online website. It's not just wine.
Well, it says wine. Vine.
Vine.
Well, the whiskeys ain't on the vines.
But it's not. That's just the name of this one. But it's not just wine.
Okay.
It's beer, spirits.
So it's
wine,
like
booze
photographers
news.
being like, oh, we're like the video collective, but it's like we're a collection of things,
right? Or like, I mean,
we're media collective.
You use cameras that traditionally people would have thought were
for
just stills.
Yeah.
To do film.
Right.
So therefore, are you just a still photographer, but you happen to take video on your? No.
Yeah, I'm a still photographer. I just take upwards of 120 pictures a second.
Right. Okay. Well, that's fair. This is just a different kind of wine. It's called whiskey on this article.
Great. Hit me.
Well, I have.
Am I blinding all of these?
No. We're just going to go through them as they're stated. But I think I left one off because I only wrote down 10. So. And there's 11.
Well, is that one?
No, it's on here. No, that's on.
It's already on here.
Okay. And I'll reveal it when we get to that because I actually have an interesting.
Are you going to tell it first, or are you not?
No, I'm going to tell it because it's the second one on the list.
He told me to let him drive.
I am driving.
I know. I just need to stop.
Okay, so this is the first one, Evan Williams single barrel, and they specifically said the 2013 vintage, which I thought was interesting. They didn't just say that category as a whole. They just said Evan Williams single barrel.
Yeah.
Which is about a $30 bottle.
Yeah. I mean,
lower proof.
I don't disagree with them on that.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty good pick.
I mean, you can find them pretty easily.
And
they're not expensive.
That is one thing. Most of these are pretty readily available.
Okay.
So the second one is, and that's what I brought for the 15. And I thought it was interesting. This is Jim Beam single barrel.
Yeah.
Which, here's what's interesting. So I went to the store and bought Jim Beam single barrel. Normally, Jim Beam single barrel is 95 proof. But this is selected batch. This is 108 proof.
Whoa.
And it's
is it a pick?
No, it's not. It's just Jim Beam single barrel. It's 108 proof. And so I'm like, oh, maybe they stopped making the 95 proof, but no, the 95 proof is still on their list, on their website. So I don't know too much about this, but this is about $40, and that's how much they say the 95 proof is. So
okay,
$38.99. I think I walked out the door, $41. So that's what we're going to do on the 15 because I've definitely never had the 108 proof. I don't think I've ever had the 95 single barrel, 95 proof Jim Beam single barrel.
Do you know what I learned? I thought that you could make some serious coin by putting all these bottles back in Maine.
Yeah,
because they were 15 cents.
Right.
But really, the people in Maine have already been taxed this, and that's the incentive for them to actually go and get their money back.
Yeah, you can actually go to jail if you collect it out of state and go. It's like it's a crime. It's like tax fraud.
Yeah, but I'm not a part of that state, so good luck finding me.
No, there's like people that have been arrested for it. First of all, you would be found.
I would.
Yeah.
Because I would talk about it. Publicly?
Like publicly, you'd brag about it.
I would.
All right, so the next one is Four Roses single barrel, not the store, the barrel.
The 100.
Yeah, and I think that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't.
They
it's
also
cheap.
They did
it's like what, $35
on here. They listed it as an average of 48, but I think that deals with different states. But yeah, 35 to $45 is probably in the range of what you'd find it. They also made a big point that they're not talking about brands that you can get picks of. So they didn't say like Buffalo Trace store pick,
right?
Because you can get single barrels. These
right.
are offered single barrels. The next one is 1792 single barrel.
Okay.
Then we have New Riff single barrel.
Great.
I love that.
Right.
Then we have John J Bowman.
Yes.
$62.
That's essentially Buffalo Trace.
Sure. Russell's Reserve single barrel.
Oh yeah, fabulous.
Then we have Baker's 7-year.
Wait, are they talking about the 110 version?
Yes.
Oh, they are. Okay.
And, yeah, it's 110, but it's not a store pick. You can go in and just buy single barrel.
I gotcha.
Regular offering.
Gotcha.
Baker's 7-year-old single barrel, and that's the new bottle.
Oh yeah.
And then
which I love, by the way.
It's great. Henry McKenna bottled in bond.
You can get that.
And then we have. Here's where they make a leap.
Okay.
Now they have Elijah Craig 18-year-old.
Oh yeah, that's a big leap.
Single barrel.
Yeah, that's.
And then they have Michter's 10-year single barrel.
Right. Okay.
So overall, I would say here's what's weird about this list to me, right?
I feel like they were trying to hit a bunch of different people.
Well, they were saying that these are the best that are offered. And at first, when I read through the list, I'm like, oh, they're actually trying to make it to be things you can get. That's why there's not Blanton's on here. There's not there's not E.H. Taylor single barrel.
Right.
Which I think are definitely, if we're just talking about great single barrels.
Well, if
those
you
belong
throw
on the
Elijah Craig 18 on there, you got to throw
right.
E.H.
No, but then
Taylor
that's where the
barrel.
swerve is that they threw Elijah Craig and Michter's 10.
Right.
Both of which are high dollar and not readily available at all. They're limited release whiskeys. They're not always in supply. That they don't have E.H. Taylor single barrel on the list.
No, they don't.
But also, here's what was weird to me, and that's why I'm interested to try this Jim Beam single barrel. No Knob Creek single barrel,
right?
Which you can get pretty easily. Bullet single barrel, which are delicious.
Yeah.
And there was one other I was thinking of that.
Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels, exactly.
Yeah. Jack
Daniels, the 94 proof single barrel or the barrel strength.
Yeah.
Both belong on this list. So it's very heavy. Jim Beam and Heaven Hill, because we have Evan Williams, Jim Beam, and then we have Baker's. That's 3 Jim Beam products. Henry McKenna and Elijah Craig are Heaven Hill. But then, I mean, they do represent almost everyone of the big distilleries, and they have a small distillery. It's a pretty reasonable list.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what they were going for by adding the 2 high end at the end, which are great, but like, what was their stated goal?
Yeah.
These are single barrels you can get.
Those are hard to get.
Or but I mean, that's the thing is, I feel like Knob Creek single barrel, even if you leave.
How about this pre-fire?
I mean, that impossible to get.
Right.
What are your thoughts? I mean, though, it was not as bad of a list as most of the time those lists are. I feel like they did a good job of having some low end really available, then that kind of mid tier, like John J Bowman and the Henry McKenna and even the Baker 7-year aren't as easy to find, right? Like those are
right.
And so they have like real easy to find.
They were easy at first.
Evan Williams, 4 Roses, and then even the 1792 is easier to find. But then they have this middle tier. Then they have kind of the high end. So opposed to a lot of these lists, like the Gear Patrol or Up Rocks or GQ, like people share these like the 10 best bourbons from every bartender in America list.
Dude, this thing was barreled on 10/13/1979.
Yeah, I'm still talking about this list though.
I know, but man, it's freaking crazy.
But I mean, just to me, I feel like of these lists, I know you made fun of it being from Vine Pair, but what do you think about this as a list? It's actually pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's honestly, it's one of the better, possible train wreck lists from a magazine out there.
So here's okay. I think we're saying the opposite, because here's a comment from Cameron Lochner. He says, hey, when you're a website trying to kiss up to the big bourbon brands, you include the big bourbon brands in your best lists.
Well, but they didn't include a single Buffalo Trace product.
Well, the only thing
directly.
1792 and Bowman are both Sazerac brands. But I mean, I kind of agree with a lot here. I am curious about this Jim Beam, even though it's not the one they listed.
Yeah, I mean,
it's 108 proof, but
there's a swerve at the end that they obviously can't say, no, these are easier to get.
Right.
They're not. Like you can get I mean, everybody sweats about Blanton's, but I mean, I can get Blanton's. I can get 100 Blantons before I can get a 10-year in Elijah Craig.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's probably accurate because at least they're putting out like at local shops, like putting it on Instagram, getting it like
right.
It's periodic and you have to be on the ball.
I mean, I said 100.
Like,
I didn't mean 100 specifically.
I know what you mean.
I mean a lot. I can go and get a lot of Blantons
if that is your in
a year.
If that's your in game,
if that's my thing, yeah. If I go to all of my friends and everybody and I tell, hey, everybody, I love Blantons. If you ever find any Blantons, I will buy it from you with a little bit of markup from you. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
grab it for me. I'll pay you, a little fee.
Right, but that's much more easy to pull off than getting the two at the end of this list.
Oh, 100%.
Which I think is why this is a well-rounded list.
Well, that's why, because with the Elijah Craig and the daggum 10-year Michter's, the reason why those are harder for me is that if I went to my buddies and like, hey guys, I'm looking for a Michter's 10 and Elijah Craig 18, and everybody would be like,
cool, us too.
Yeah. Everybody is, Grease.
Yeah.
Okay, go home. Like,
well, and that's the other thing about this list is that I kind of feel like most people would expect Blanton's to be on here, right? Because Blanton's is the brandy. It's the one that is always talked about almost to absurdity in some groups, and then you have the flip side of that where everyone that's like, oh no, I'm a real whiskey fan, I'm gonna make fun of people that like Blanton's and all this. So its absence on this list is curious, but it also I feel like a lot of people could give it a little bit of cred because it's not like someone just Googled single barrel whiskey or single barrel bourbon and made a list of the top things on it. I feel like there actually was some thought put into this, unlike a lot of these lists that we see get shared. And that's why I do like some of the articles on this site.
You think they did their due diligence?
Yeah, I think they actually write about spirits and stuff at this website. I think they actually write about alcohol.
Right.
And so I know like that's the other popular thing, like, oh, magazines are just they're getting paid off by or getting that. It's like, I don't think that happens. I don't think that's,
I mean, it could.
I don't think that that's how those lists come out.
Yeah. It might not be monetary, but it might just be like, hey, they're really cool.
No, I don't think it happens that way.
All right. Well, it clearly didn't with this one because they're hitting a lot of diversity and didn't hit, BT.
Like they could have easily put 2 Buffalo Trace products at the top of that, E.H. Taylor Single Barrel and Blanton's, and it would have turned off most whiskey fans.
Right.
Not most whiskey fans that consume this kind of media would be like, nah, this list isn't for me.
And I kind of appreciate them not going into the store picks, like you said.
Yeah, no, they actually had a really interesting thing, like a few paragraphs explaining the list first. And they talked about how people that are into whiskey and stores are really into single barrel programs because of the diversity of the profiles they can get. And so if you weren't a whiskey fan at all, you actually could learn some information about like differences of that. And like you can go into stores and they'll have a lot of single barrel offerings that wouldn't make this list because we're only keeping it to officially stated single barrel offerings.
Right.
So it's something that the brand is putting out by itself. So
yeah.
And they also, the fact that they put New Riff on here also shows. Now it's like there are people that could fight like, I don't like New Riff, I like Wilderness Trail, I like
right.
That's fine, but it also shows that it wasn't just scraping the top brand names and putting it in here. So I don't know. I thought it was a fun list.
Does Wilderness Trail have a generic single barrel product? I mean, I've had a ton of their single barrels.
I threw that out there as if that would be, and people are going to be like, y'all are dumb one way or the other.
I mean, it could exist. I just don't know. I just don't know.
Offer single barrels, but I also don't know if it's just store picks.
Right.
So someone will
someone
correct
will
us now.
Yeah, they always do.
Oh, someone says, can you pin the list? Yeah, I'm going to copy this link right now.
Oh, and you're going to post it.
And I'm going to post it in the chat.
That's great.
And then
Appreciate you doing that, Will.
Someone can pin it. Or I guess I can pin it.
Yeah, you can probably pin it. We'll do that. Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. This is one of the better lists that I've seen from a publication period.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like even and I appreciate that they kept it to bourbons.
And Eric Smith
And it's not
also
just
said,
whiskey.
yes, they do on the shelf non-picks, Wilderness Trail.
Okay, cool.
So,
Yeah,
no, this was specifically a bourbon list, which actually made it more helpful and I guess a little bit easier to not pick apart because if you start mixing ryes in, then it just opens up the realm of possibilities almost too broad for a list like that. So I'll see if they do a 11 best rye single barrels.
you haven't had a single thing to drink.
I know. I've just noticed that.
Can I pour you this brandy?
No, because we're going to drink this thing on the 15th. I want a bourbon. I don't want apple brandy.
It's incredible.
No, I've had it 50 times.
You have not.
Yes, I have.
You have not.
Yes, I have.
All right. Do you want this? NASA?
No, I want a bourbon.
I want a bourbon.
Let's do something here. Something under 108 proof.
Oh,
please, because I don't want to mess up the palate.
I have a lot of high proof things.
I've noticed that. CYPB. Baby! Here. Old Forester birthday bourbon. Oh, this is good. Yeah. This is a Red Dog Elijah Craig small batch.
I'm typically not a fan of those Elijah Craig 94s.
Did you see Turok online the other day? Our buddy Todd posted a picture. He went and saw Turok.
Yeah.
And Turok's hair is looking mighty fine.
Oh, yeah. I've gotten several
It's
pictures of
long.
him. And I sent him the pictures and I said, "You're all business." He's like, where, what was that from? That wasn't today. He thought,
I don't know.
It's fine.
It's good. It's an interesting list because normally I automatically see these.
Yeah.
And I have like Google alerts set up for certain keywords and things.
Yeah.
If I want to read something or if I want to talk about it on the show. And this popped up in one of the, and a lot of times those lists pop up.
Right.
It's always like 10 best. Most of the time I don't even read them.
Yeah.
Because they're terrible. Or I read them and I'm like, eye roll.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is helpful for someone looking to get into single barrel bourbon. It's also helpful to maybe point us in the direction of something we haven't tried before or may have overlooked. Like if they put Knob Creek the 120 single barrel,
right,
I wouldn't have thought twice about it. But they put the Jim Beam single barrel, and I was like, I mean, this could almost be one of those episodes of I can't believe I've never bought that. So because I've definitely never purchased Jim Beam single barrel.
Cue the non-existent intro too. I can't believe I've never bought that.
So that's what we're gonna do on the 15th.
I'm excited to try it, especially at 108 proof. Well, I didn't know that even was a thing.
I didn't either. I got this at Cool Springs Wine and Spirits today. I was on the way home, swung in there, and I was like,
Did you see our honey bunny over there?
No, Justin wasn't there.
Oh, he wasn't.
No, but I ran in thinking because it's a big volume.
Oh man,
place that they have. I thought I was most likely able to find this there. I was, but this is the 108 proof, not the 95. And then when I realized that, when I was writing down the list to come over here, I actually swung in at the one in my neighborhood to see if they had the 95 proof, and they had no Jim Beam products on the shelf at all, except for Basil Hayden Dark Rye. It was legit the only Jim Beam product.
That's bizarre.
No Knob Creek, no white label, no Jim Beam Rye, nothing.
Jim Beam is allocated.
Well, and then they were like, "Can I help you with something?" And I was like,
"Well, yeah, y'all need to get some volume up in here."
I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good."
Y'all need
Turok, since
y'all need to run some coupons. Coupons on the internet.
You are watching. Do you carry Jim Beam single barrel?
And what proof is it? And
do you have the 95 proof or the 108 proof? That's what I'm very curious about.
I'm going to TTB the crap out of that.
So Cameron says, do we know the age on the Jim Beam single barrel? So it says, first of all, it says less than 1% of barrels are hand selected by our expert distillers to become Jim Beam single barrel bourbon. The individual barrel number stands as a testament to the truly unique profile and flavor of every bottle. It does not have,
and that might not be their whole entire barrel stock, by the way. It's kind of clever wording. Those could be designated for the Jim Beam line. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So they're saying 1% of those barrels.
Yeah, it does not have it doesn't have an age statement on it. I was looking to see
Does
if
it
maybe
say
it did.
like straight bourbon whiskey or
Well,
anything
yeah,
like that?
no, it's Kentucky straight bourbon. So I mean, it's definitely over 4 years because it's not age stated and it's straight
Or
bourbon.
4 years or more, yeah.
What did I say?
You said over 4 years. It's definitely over 4 years. It could just be 4 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's at least 4 years.
It's at least 4 years.
So Tarak says, "Yep, I have the 108." So maybe an open bottle of 90 proof, 95 proof. If I didn't already dump it in an infinity barrel. That's funny.
Yeah.
So,
I think we can talk about this now. We had a really cool event the other day.
we did. Yeah. Yeah. We did a private event, like a corporate event. So also if you're
for whiskey tasting.
yeah, if you want to have a whiskey tasting at your corporate event, like for your executives or something, let us know. We'll pour some.
We'll show up real
drinks.
nice.
But it was cool. We had a like a cool bar, and we put our sign up there, and there was like almost looked like a stave wood background with like whiskey and lights. We posted a picture of like the selections we had.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was for a big like national insurance company. It was like their executives were here for a conference. It was like 125 executives from all over the country were in town, and they seem to be
at John Rich's house.
Yeah, can we say that?
I think so.
I don't know if we can or not.
Yeah, nobody knows where it is.
Yeah,
it was at a country music artist house.
Yeah, so
and it was
cool.
incredible. And he did a private show there, which was incredible. I got to see a little bit of that. Will sauntered on up there.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the saddle disco ball.
Yeah,
which is incredible. I mean, it's my favorite thing ever.
It was a lot of fun, and it.
But the reason I wanted to say that,
I was going to say we got to talk a lot about whiskey, which we like to do. If you didn't know this, and got to share really unique whiskeys that we picked out for the event. So
I love more than anything to walk up to somebody and be like, I say like, what whiskey do you normally like?
Yeah,
because that's our gauge at the beginning. Because
or even what do you like to drink?
Right. What do you like to drink? Exactly right. And so we dive into that, and we get all kinds of different levels, and we get to like, I don't want to say coach them up.
Yeah.
But at least like give a bunch of it. I mean, and here's the deal. You know more about whiskey than I ever could. But when I'm explaining something to them and they're looking at me with wide eyes and jaw dropping, like, oh my gosh, this is so much great information. I'm like, I feel great.
Yeah.
I'm pumped. And it's one of my favorite things that we do.
Yeah.
We do it. We've done a few corporate events.
We're not bad at it. Our passion comes out when we're able to one-on-one talk with people, especially people that want to learn about what we're doing and what we're drinking, and like,
and they like us because we have our ABC pour license. You know what I mean? Like, pour me that. And we're like, yes.
So
we can't drink.
We cannot drink
when
we do those events.
I know, which is the only
negative.
This is the caveat.
No, I mean, we're still passionate about it, and we've had those pours before. We know what we're talking about. We know what to walk people through.
We've tasted all of them.
But
by the way, thank you. Special shout out to Red Dog, who kind of stepped up and supplied so many different. They're a bigger store too. They're a bigger volume store, and we needed a wide variety. We wanted to do all single barrels for this, but just different, crazy. So we had the Hill Rock single barrel by Red Dog, which is basically a product of Dave Pickrell before he passed away. And it's a heavy malt influence in that whiskey. And then we got to do an Old Soul, which was probably the crowd favorite of the night. Which
we talked about on the show last week.
And so and then what else do we have? The reason I brought up John is that he supplied us with a couple bottles of Redneck Riviera, the Redneck Riviera Standard Often, and the Granny Rich Reserve. And you made a great point. Now, number one, we don't know John personally. Right. We've met him a couple of times, but he has no idea who on God's green earth we are. Right. And I've always, had odd feelings about Redneck Riviera just because of my diversity in whiskey. Right. I cannot tell. Like the crowd favorite was Redneck Riviera, because so many people weren't they weren't well versed in whiskey enough and a lot of these people were like, oh, I've never done it neat before, but they're at our table, they embrace it. They're like, you know what, tonight's the night I'm going to try it. You know what I mean? And his 80 proof and 86 proof. So the regular Redneck Riviera is 80 proof. The Granny Rich Reserve is 86. Those are quote unquote very smooth. They are very easy
and that's
drinkers.
The point of them.
That's the point of them.
100% the stated point.
And they're blended with some light whiskey, and so it's very sweet, but low proof.
It's majority light whiskey.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's one thing that I pointed out to you, because you,
I've been wishy-washy about it.
You were not pleased with it,
but I've since gotten on.
Well, no, but so I said, hey, I know you tried this a long time ago, but before we get started with this tasting, you need to retry them. And you're like, I don't know, man. I'll just, I'll let people know when they can have. And I said, no, seriously, I bet you'll change your mind. I bet if you put on a different hat, here's the hat I want you to put on. You have been on such a light whiskey kick, and the flavor of the light whiskey that you like, I think you'll find pleasant things about this now. If you're comparing it to a bourbon or to a rye, you'll hate it, because that's not the profile.
Yeah.
If you compare this to the light whiskey you've been drinking, now it's not as old,
right?
But it doesn't necessarily have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
It's still in the used barrel.
It's proven.
And so I said, I want you to try it with an open mind. You first went with the Granny Rich Reserve, which is 4-year-old light whiskey and some 3-year-old straight whiskey.
Yeah.
And you tried it. And what did you say?
This is good.
Yeah. You actually really liked it.
Yeah.
And we're like, I understand how I can use this as a tool to open people's mind to whiskey.
Right.
Or if they just want to stay there, they can.
Well,
they can
and
have,
I'm sitting there thinking about just Nashville as a market, period. Like, we have more bachelorette parties in Nashville than I think we do oxygen cells.
Oxygen cells aren't a thing, bud.
Or just, like pieces of oxygen in the air. All I'm saying is there's a lot of bachelorette parties, and they might not like whiskey.
Yeah.
But they're going to like things like Fireball.
Yeah.
They're going to like things like Redneck Riviera, because it's so palpable and covers the whiskey taste. You know what I mean? Like, Redneck Riviera is not like overly corny and whiskey. You know what I mean? Like, it's sweet, but like I didn't get this like, oh, this is young. This is not good.
Yeah, and that's
because
it was a lot of the light whiskey. So a lot of the fatty acids and things that you want to be mellowed over time by the barrel that are in bourbon, because it's distilled at a lower proof.
Yeah.
Those are stripped out with light whiskey because they're distilled at a higher proof. And then there's less for you to deal with as far as with youthful whiskey that could be offensive to your palate.
Yeah.
And so when you've got a younger light whiskey, even though it's in the used barrel and it can pick up some of the influences of whatever was in it prior, it also, you're not having to round out some of those rough edges as much because the distillation process did that for you.
Right. And I want to challenge, because I've been challenged. Okay. I want to challenge our listeners and our viewers to try some of those things so that you can utilize those tools in tastings or
if you're wanting to get people into the fold, bring them into the fold as you would.
Because it's obviously work. I mean, it worked there. Right. I would say, yeah. I mean,
there are people that tried like Granny Rich Reserve and then tried Old Soul straight bourbon at 109 proof.
Yeah.
And were accepting of it, like, oh, I can see where this is. It got them started. It kind of numbed the tongue a little bit, got them more open to whiskey, and then they were able to appreciate something that was straight bourbon and a little bit higher proof too.
Right.
So, I mean, it definitely worked.
I mean, we've known John to be a businessman, just outside looking in,
right?
And for so long, it was like, oh man, like it's another celebrity brand, that's out there and whatever. But this one has, I think, and honestly, Matthew McConaughey with Long Branch too.
Yeah.
Long Branch over at Wild Turkey kind of serves as the same thing for me because it's
within the portfolio,
within that approachable, low proof offering that, you know, just kind of gets people in the game.
Yeah.
Because when people come to me and ask me like, hey man, how do I get started in whiskey? And I was like, honestly, put it in Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in Coke first. You know what? Then put a ton of ice in a cup and put it in there and let the ice melt a little bit. And now you're having it with a little bit of water influence.
See, but here's the thing with ice for me, why that never worked for me, because I don't like the taste of super diluted whiskey. I think you get a lot of the negative influence when it's just super diluted.
I think it's the ability to drink it and not.
Yeah, see that, but I mean, wow, could be painful. Was never like that. Was not what turned me off to whiskey. Was the burn.
Well, so this is the way I describe it. I do mention that, and that is a viable method only because you're not doing that with vodka. You're not, you know, you could do that with
cheap vodka.
No, I'm just saying, like, just in ice, like, you know, I mean, not many people will do that. The vodka is supposed to be like, you know, nothing. It's supposed to not actually taste like anything.
Right.
So this is just getting them acclimated to the taste, even though it is diluted and it's not going to burn, you know, as they take it down. That's how I use it. And then we move to just a single ice cube, a block.
Yeah.
Over that's going to be less dilution, and then neat.
Yeah.
And then you're there.
I like it.
But I mean, I think when you go neat, you know, for the first time, if the burn and we met a lot of people where adults that were just scared of that burn, like, oh, I don't want it to burn. You know, like, oh, you know, and as soon as they took it, they were like, oh, you know, it wasn't like, oh, this tastes awful.
I am probably an outlier when it comes to like the burn wasn't what was off-putting to me.
Right.
Like, it was intense and it was like, but that wasn't what made me like, I can never do that again.
It could taste really good to them.
Yeah.
But a lot of them just can't get past the fact that it feels like acid reflux going down their esophagus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. I mean, and that's what people were scared about. And so that's why I paint that with the ice as far as just being approachable and lower proof stuff in general. But what I think with Redneck Riviera that's unique is it is low proof light whiskey,
right?
Which is going to have just a sweeter tone to it anyway.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go to the 15, but before we do, I do want to give a shout out and a very happy birthday to our buddy Leon today. He is 30 years young.
Fog those glasses up, Leon. Let's do this.
So happy birthday, Leon. Let's go to the 15.
How old is he?
30.
He's not.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he's not.
I don't know.
I've seen that face.
It's a good beard.
It's a good beard.
But it's seen some stuff.
Right. Like possible just, you know.
If you don't know where you're going to land with that, you should just abandon ship.
So. Right. Well, Trish is waiting on me to say it. You know?
No. All right.
I think
let's go to the 15.
Some things that I say.
Hit the music just so I can have a point. Let's go to the 15.
Hit the music, baby.
All
right. So what I was thinking in my head is that sometimes I'm one of those planes with a message on it flying around a stadium. And there's no filter.
You're not the plane with the message on it. You are the result of a plane that is done skywriting where they use the smoke to write something.
That's
but you're the message after the wind has dispersed it and it says not what it originally was supposed to say.
So it just looks drunk.
Yeah. You're drunk.
Did we have a super chat? Did I miss it?
That was from Trisha.
Oh, it's his birthday.
All right. You want to come back from the 15? Grease made a interesting point the other night. That
I did?
Yeah, that we used to refer to like our 15 whiskey. That this back portion was the 15. The 15 is no man's land in between.
It's actually the break.
And so our final segment is actually now going to be referred to as Buy Bar Pass. Because that's what we do.
Because that's what it is. Now, the 15, for those of y'all that don't know, because when you're watching on YouTube, there's no cuts, there's no nothing. Like we're still live right now. The 15 originally was you and I, we were just starting out in whiskey. We would start this.
Our show was only about 30 minutes long.
Right. So then we would pause for the 15 and legit, we would sit there for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and just talk and drink and be
Talk.
like, hey, do we
Well,
have
but
another
we would
10
look-
minutes of content?
Well, and then we would look up like the facts on it and try
Yeah.
to get it right and all this other stuff. And
Instead of pre-planning.
yeah. And so that's where the 15 was. And the thought process is, you know, like when you hit drinks, you know, they kind of hit you 15 minutes later. So when we came back out of the 15 for the by-bar pass,
sassy.
we were going to be a little more sassy. I mean, if you listen to those early episodes, our tolerance was not anywhere close.
You would always ask for a ginger ale. You're like, hey man, you got a ginger ale?
Really?
Yeah, or a Sprite
To mix it with?
Yes. You needed a cup of ice, and you said, do you have a ginger ale? You would ask me like every time. I'm like, no. And you're like, I'm going to stop by the store and get me one.
I do like Makers and Ginger.
I know that.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good drink. I like it.
Yeah.
Good.
Man, that's wild that I wanted one every time.
Every time. And you expected me to have this for you. Like,
well,
it was in your rider or something.
remember
Right?
the
They were
Fox.
burning content.
I remember the Fox glass.
Fox rocks, baby.
And you would very sweetly bring up ice cubes for me so that I could do it. Man, now I'm hitting 157.4 Canadian whiskey.
So this is before we get back. Mashbill says Redneck Riviera is very Canadian tasting to me. Adding too much water to Long Ranch makes it bitter. So
It's
what's
not
interesting?
Canadian.
Well, it's not. No, but he said very Canadian tasting.
Yeah.
But if you even read the like literature online about Redneck Riviera, the target drinker is a Crown Royal drinker. Like it's the palate and profile he was going for was a smooth whiskey, blended whiskey that had a lot of that kind of profile to it. So, all right, let's get back.
But there's not a lot. There's not artificial stuff thrown in though.
No. It's just 95% light.
Or
whiskey.
Not artificial, but I mean, like
and
a lot of
5%.
Crown, like it's like there's a lot of rules that you don't have to abide by.
That doesn't mean that there's artificial stuff in it.
Right. Fingernails.
What you're meaning is the definition of rye in Canada is
Maybe
not rye whiskey.
Right.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
And we're back from the 15.
Some say we never left, Will.
So this is Jim Beam single barrel Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey selected batch, but it's not a batch. It's a single barrel. 108.
It's a
proof.
selected batch of that's what I was saying.
No, I know. They select a run and then they take a single barrel out of that 1%.
Right.
No, I got what you were saying.
Okay, you got.
I just think it's funny. It says selected batch in gold letters when it's a single barrel.
Oh yeah.
So 108 proof, unfiltered for fuller flavor. This is barrel number for you folks drinking along at home. JB 0001 57468.
That's my social.
And you didn't even have to go to the DMV to get that. Someone just stole your bank account already.
Somebody freaking named Jim's freaking stole it. I agree with you. I don't know why they had to put selected batch and even highlight
the marketing department of Beam Suntory thought this is what we're gonna do.
I think single barrel holds enough weight that they don't need that. But I mean, you know what? I'm not everybody, so that's fine. For fuller flavor, unfiltered for fuller flavor, 108 proof. So I'm assuming this is non-chill filtered.
It is not chill filtered, correct?
Sounds like it's not even. It's not
says
filtered.
well, it says on the back. It says Jim Beam single barrel is only quality screened to remove barrel char pieces from the whiskey. This unfiltered process gives the whiskey its natural appearance and rustic character. In cold temperatures, whiskey may appear cloudy or have visible particles. This is normal for an unfiltered whiskey to allow for richer, fuller flavors.
Oh, banger of a nose.
Smells good.
Yeah.
It smells kind of like Four Roses on the nose. Like it's a little bit more fruity than I was expecting. I was expecting that earthy Jim Beam
very
nuttiness that's not necessarily
very ethanol in my nose.
Oh, see, I didn't think that's what you meant.
No, I did not.
Like an aggressive.
I did not at first.
I think it has kind of a little bit of.
It's already softened.
Herbal, floral thing going on.
Man,
I did 15 samples on Saturday night from our buddy Conrad's tasting. I did 15 in a row.
did you film it?
No,
You just made
I
notes.
thought about doing that, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna do this for me.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do
It's gonna
that.
be
I'm
me
gonna
time.
I'm gonna go in like a closet somewhere and do that.
Yeah.
So
So
people don't get mad.
JT said we threw Jim Beam single barrel into a blind and it did pretty well. JT, was that
based on the nose, it's doing great.
Was that the 108 proof or the 95 proof?
I kind of can see your Four Roses, but I am getting some of the nuttiness.
See, I'm not getting the nuttiness on the nose, but I'm going to jump in and see what I think.
do. I'm getting nutty. A lot of nutty, but man, freaking great.
Oh yeah.
I would argue.
I mean, it tastes like Knob Creek to me.
Right. I would
tastes
say
like
that
Knob
I
Creek.
would say that this might be Knob Creek 100. I could see.
Yeah, the 9-year.
Yeah, I could see this being possibly a Baker's single barrel.
I think the Baker's is probably because that's 107 proof, 7-year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit. It's not as developed, I'd say, as Knob Creek, but it has a lot of the.
I think the nose would
familiar-
steer me away from the regular Knob Creek 100.
I put a tad bit of water in here, just a drop,
You just did?
just to open it up a little,
Why are you doing that?
because I wanted to.
Might as well just bought the 95 proof.
No,
Yeah.
no, I didn't do that much water. I did a drop.
Man, you've got some good cheek sounds. Oh, man.
Hey-o!
Golly. Is that okay? So, like, when you, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean?
Woo!
Dude, how about that T-Rex
Oh,
video
bravo.
that we pushed out?
That's funny. I
By the
like
way,
it.
we're doing an after party.
Yeah,
today.
if you saw the T-Rex video, that was from our Patreon after party. I'll try to find something a little sassy to get us rolling tonight. That was fun. That was last week. We do them almost after almost every live since we've started.
We've
them.
only missed one.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. Corey Breeding.
Cody.
That's why I was mixed up. Why did I say Corey?
Well, why do you drive 40 minutes to a DMV?
That's true, very true. I passed by Cody's house the other day on my
makes
way
sense.
to Furnace Fest.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw freaking Further Seems Forever.
Mm.
Freaking great. I saw Anne Berlin, really great, except Steven was losing his voice. And I saw Taking Back Sunday. Freaking great lineup, dude.
I went and saw
Living Sacrifice.
I went and saw Rancid and Dropkick Murphys on Friday night.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Rancid,
I'd like to
Top-
see Dropkick Murphys.
top 5 shows I've ever been to.
Are you serious?
Rancid was one of the best hours of my life.
Are you serious?
100%. They were perfect. They sounded incredible. They played all the hits. It was a perfect set. And they on this tour, they flip-flop who's the main headliner.
Yeah, because I mean, like,
it's a dueling
they're very-
headliner.
Yeah.
And Lars from Rancid actually produced a lot of the Dropkick Murphys records. Now, Dropkick Murphys, I listened to in high school, and I listened to like their first 3 records. And like the Gang's All Here, the Sing Loud, Sing Proud,
I was in college.
and the one. No, you weren't.
Yes, I was.
No, you were not. Not when Sing Loud, Sing Proud came out. Were you in college in 2001?
Yes.
Oh yeah, 2000 and Fun. That's right.
Yeah.
Gummit.
I mean, it was the first, it was just that fall semester, but yes.
Right. That's fair. Anyhow, I listened to them then. They were most of their songs were not from the early records that they played. I only knew like 2 or 3 songs
That's a bummer.
of their hour and 15-minute set.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Now, they were still fun. They were fantastic. There was like 40 people on the stage. Rancid came out and played a song with them. And they were great. It was super fun show. but Rancid was just perfect.
Mm,
It was exactly what I wanted.
you're perfect.
Oh God, it was so good. So good. I mean, I loved both of them. I wish it had been Dropkick Murphys, then Rancid for the show we saw, because I loved the entire Dropkick Murphy set, but I was like so on cloud nine after Rancid set that it was a little bit like, okay, this is great. I'm gonna
Debbie
listen to
Downer.
it. It wasn't Debbie Downer. It just was like my excitement level dropped, but they were super fun.
Right.
The
Well, that could have been because
the
of,
like
of, the,
lead
of
singer
your
of Dropkick
bedtime.
Murphys now though looks like a youth pastor.
They all do.
No, it was.
They all do.
hilarious.
You either get a youth pastor, like a legit youth pastor, like Southern Baptist, or you get one that looks like he could have been in a biker gang and arrested a few times. Youth
Yeah.
pastor. He's
Yeah.
got the studded jeans,
Uh-huh.
bald head for sure. That was kind of like Jason with Further.
Yeah.
Since forever.
Yeah.
He could have totally been like a washed out youth pastor that's been
Right.
arrested a few times.
I hear you.
Anyway, great shows. Great. Freaking whiskey and music go hand in hand.
Yeah. All right.
Although I
so-
couldn't have, got to have Miller Lights.
I can't believe you drink Miller Lite, to be quite
Why
frank.
do you think I don't?
It's a borderline like malt liquor. It's not even like a real beer.
It's a light beer.
Uh-uh.
It's legit.
That they can't spell it Light because it doesn't technically qualify as light beer. That's why they have to do the LITE trademark thing.
I don't think.
I love when I'm like looking into your eyes. You're like, I can't tell. He knows things I don't. No, I'm just messing with you.
Okay, I was like, this. I don't think that's. I don't think that's right.
Yeah,
You're gonna have a bunch of people pissed.
yeah.
People just literally people.
No,
had
see,
to-
I'm a Coors Light guy.
I used to be, and that daggum things give me headaches. I don't know what kind of additives they throw in there or
Okay.
something.
It's that Colorado water. Higher altitude.
Probably.
Makes you lightheaded.
Where's Miller Lite water coming from?
All right, folks. Thank you so much
Cumberland
for watching
River.
this episode of the podcast. Hey, buy bar or pass on that single barrel. It was $41 out the door.
It's like literally the easiest buy
You think that's a
for $41.
See, here's
108 single barrel that tastes good,
but
$40.
120 proof Knob Creek single barrel.
That's $50.
$10 more. And I think it's pour us up some Knob Creek. Let's do it side by side.
Oh my gosh, you're okay. We can't. This is one of the greatest Knob Creek picks of all time. We can't do this one.
Okay, then fine. Don't do that one.
You can't do this one. I don't want to. I don't have a regular one. That's what I'm saying. Oh wait. Nope.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
Yep. I don't have a
It's
regular one.
unfortunate.
I mean, do we want to just do it for fun?
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is a wild thing. Knob Creek. It's one of my favorite Knob Creeks of all time. It was picked by Justin and James from Carruthers back in the day.
Cheers to myself.
Oh my gosh.
$50.
Oh my gosh. That nose is so stupid.
Shut it down.
Oh, dadgummit. Let me go back. It holds up for $10 less.
It
holds up.
the finish is so nutty. So just be prepared. There's
Yeah.
a little bit of bitterness there that I'm
Yeah.
not digging on. If it were $30,
Oh, that's a
Buy a
value
case.
pour all day long.
40 is a little bit steeper, but it's pretty good. I think that if you, like JT was saying, if you put it in a blind, I think it would actually hold up against a lot of other whiskey.
I
In
agree with
108 proof, I can't turn it down. I'll probably say buy two.
Oh.
Not buy two of them. Buy also.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably say buy also.
Oh, double down, Will.
No. Let's say that's a buy.
I'll buy two.
It's pretty good. I won't buy two. I'll buy one.
You'll buy one. Yeah, and use it as an educational piece.
Yeah,
For your
I
kids.
think it'll surprise people too, because they'll see Jim Beam be a little bit
Right.
thrown back by it. The Jim Beam products that come in that kind of squared off bottle,
Oh, they're great.
they like the double oaked and the
Yeah.
and the Masters.
Oh, yeah, with the
blend,
distiller's cut.
distiller's cut, like
Yeah.
all those have been so good.
Yeah,
So,
they've been great.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for this week on the podcast. If you're a patron, and if you're not a patron, go to patreon.com/thepodcast and sign up for any level, because any level gets the after party. It's exclusive just to patrons. We do it live. We sometimes bring folks on. We have a good time. Last time we talked about dinosaur sex for a little bit, which is something we don't talk about on the live show.
You know what? We don't actually talk about that enough. If I'm being completely honest,
no one talks about it enough. To be quite frank,
I
feel like it's a thing everyone needs to talk about.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about it
a little bit more. Yeah. So check that out. Patreon.com/thepodcast for all of you watching currently that are patrons. We'll see you there in a few. And if you want to support us, the easiest, simplest, cheapest way is to subscribe and then give us a thumbs up. Doesn't cost you anything except for a few seconds of your time. And then also, if you're listening to the podcast, subscribe whichever player you're listening to this podcast through, and give us a review. That really helps as well. We've got merch at thepodcast.com/store. We have some fun t-shirts. We have hats like the one I'm wearing that's like a leather patch that says our logo and things like that. There's a whiskey glass logo one. We've got some really cool t-shirts as well.
Tell them your Instagram name.
Follow us on Instagram at the podcast and at the Real Grease.
Yeah,
those are two fun ways. We have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have a private Facebook group called the Podcasters. You can go to podcasters.com. It takes you right there. And all that, this, that, and the other, we don't know jack, but we'll drink it. That was super fun.
Like a boss.
Someone said that I was a D-bag earlier, and that hurt my feelings.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did you? Why
he said that